the off season is going and how you are, adjusting and working with Arthur Smith and as a, first play time as a head coach with a play caller and Dave Ragone so far. How's that going for you?
It's been going well. I think obviously transition requires a lot of effort and a lot of work to learn the new system, to make sure that, you're as comfortable as you possibly can be with the terminology and what they expect from you. There's always differences, nuance between, different schemes and what, certain coaches, how they like certain things. And so I've been working really hard to try and get on the same page with them, and been excited that we're able to start and get out on the field this week and just start to get guys lined up, moving around and making steps in the right direction. But Dave and Arthur have been great, and I'm excited about the future and hopefully winning a bunch of games.
Yep. And I know others will ask about Kyle Pitts and Julio. But opting out, you all voted. Some guys voted not to come, and some are coming. How are y'all doing attendance-wise with the guys that are deciding to work out and come during the pandemic and the phase 2 of the program?
Yeah, I think we collectively bargained for it to be optional and voluntary a couple of years ago, and I fully support guys making whatever decision they want to make. Whatever they think is best for them to get themselves ready to go. And so I think, attendance wise, I'm fired up to be here. For me, I feel like it gives me the best, opportunity to be successful. But I think for all guys, they've got to make whatever decisions are best for them. And, that's kind of been the case throughout my entire career, to be honest with you. There's been guys that have been here. There's been guys that haven't. But you trust the guys that are doing it on their own or doing a great job of getting themselves ready to go and in shape. And I have a lot of, belief and trust that those guys will be ready to rock when it's time to go in July.
Tori?
Hey, Matt, happy belated birthday. Did you do anything fun yesterday?
Thank you, Tori. We took the kids out for an early dinner. They got some chicken fingers and chilled out. So that was kind of it, but a nice day spent with my family. And, they're more fun when you're in your 20s, It's fun having those birthdays when you're in your 20s, but it was a good day. Thank you.
You're welcome. Getting into my actual questions now, how much did you actually know about Arthur Smith prior to getting to know him now that he's come in and you've been able to work with him now? Did you know much about him before he came in?
Just from a distance, having watched what they did in Tennessee, I have a bunch of coaches that I've played for have worked with him, and all of them speak really highly, of him and who he is as a person, who he is, as a football coach. So he comes, highly recommended from a lot of people that I trust. But didn't know him personally. But certainly, knew him professionally and watched what they did, and they had a lot of success in Tennessee. He did a great job there.
Yeah. Wanted to go back a couple weeks to the lead up of the draft. At what point did you know that Kyle Pitts was the guy? Did you have a heads up at all, or were you kind of waiting around like the rest of us?
Yeah, no, that's those are not my calls, right? And not under my job description. So, I leave that to the folks upstairs. And I was just excited, found out at pick 4, that he was coming here. And, he's worked really hard the first couple of weeks. I've really enjoyed getting to know him, but I was excited that night as well.
Michael Rothstein?
Hi, Matt. How are you? I'm curious about kind of with the draft, the fact that Atlanta didn't take a quarterback at all. Did that give you any sort of level of confidence or any sort of level of maybe comfort with where your future might be in Atlanta?
It didn't really change my, my confidence level or my approach in any way. I think that, I always prepare, every year as hard as I possibly can to give myself, the best chance to be successful. But, I've always felt that the people inside the building have a great amount of belief in me, and I have a great amount of belief in myself. But, you never know how these things are going to shake out in the draft. You never know what players are there, what players were high on their board, those kind of things. You can't worry about it. To me, it's one of those things you just have to, stay focused and keep your mindset on the things that are actually going to help you, play well in the fall. And that's what I try and do.
Did you have any conversations with Arthur or with Terry kind of about your status before the draft at all? Were any of those things discussed? Were you given any sort of idea?
No, I mean, they their job, as GM, as head coach, is to try and find the people that they feel are going to best help us win games. And that's exactly what they said. And so, I had a lot of belief that I feel like I am that person that's going to help us win a lot of games. But no, not much more than that.
Charles Odom?
Just to, hey, thanks for doing this, by the way. Just to follow up on that, even while you believe that the leadership has confidence in you, you understand, I'm sure you heard that there was a lot of public debate as to what maybe those outside the team felt about the future at quarterback and whether it was time to make plans for a different long-term future. You've always been very pragmatic about things like that and accepting that certain things come with age. But did that disrupt you at all? Did that upset you at all to hear all that debate and going on leading up to the draft?
Not really. I think that in one respect, you understand that if you play well for long enough, these are the conversations that are going to come up. I understand I'm not going to play forever, but I also, have the mindset that I'm still playing really well and have, a lot of good football in front of me. But the most important thing to me is it comes from the belief in the building, the people who are actually making decisions, the people who, are with you day to day. And so that's kind of where I try and keep it. It's harder now than ever to avoid the noise. It was certainly easier earlier in my career, just there was less of it. There were less ways to get it. But I found that, if you're going to search for it, to try and get positive reviews on you, it's going to affect you in a certain way. And same thing if you're going to search for it in negative ways. And I try and just, stay down the middle, keep my mindset on, day to day, daily improvement, trying to be the best that I can be, and not really worrying about what other people say.
With no disrespect to the tight ends who have followed Tony Gonzalez, are there times that you still look back at the special gifts that he brought to the offense, and now you see the comparisons that everybody's putting on Kyle Pitts? Is it exciting to you to think that this might be somebody who can be compared to that kind of player?
Yeah, I mean, Tony, obviously first ballot Hall of Famer and, arguably the best to ever do it at his position. Certainly, was the first guy to really change the position into what it is now. And so that's a lot to live up to. And I wouldn't want to put that kind of pressure on anybody. I think for Kyle, the biggest thing is to just worry about getting better and, learning the offense, trying to get a little better every day. He's got great potential, great, upside, but, he's got to focus on daily improvement and trying to learn the offense as best he can. If you kind of chip away at it, slowly but surely, the end result will get you to where you want to be, but there's no shortcut to it. And so that's, one of the biggest things I learned from being around Tony is that there's really no shortcut to being the best at it. You have to work at it. And I think if he can do that, that'll set him off in the right direction.
Justin Felder?
Hey, Matt, we're only a little bit into the offseason program, so there's a lot to figure out between now and when you guys get on the field. But what is an offense with Julio Jones, Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley, all the other playmakers you guys have? What does that look like in your mind?
Man, we're really at the beginning of this. So, we're working on making sure we can get lined up in our formations, making sure that we understand, what routes we have on certain concepts. I'm excited about the guys we have in the building for sure. And, feel like there's guys that are highly competitive that want to win football games. So I'm excited about that standpoint, but we have a long way to go.
And kind of going back to what Charles was asking about and the business decisions that come with the territory, there's also been speculation about Julio's future with the Falcons, how a move of him could affect the salary cap situation. Have you talked to him at all? How's he handling all of that? And any insight on that situation?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love Who. I mean, I've been so lucky to play with him, for the past decade, and he's an unbelievable player. I don't get involved in this side of it, from a teammate, from a player standpoint. He's my teammate, he's my guy, and you let the other side of it shake out how it is. But I know this: he's always ready to go. He's an incredible competitor and one of the best to ever do it at his position. So he'll have himself ready to go. There's no question about that.
Kelsey Conway.
Hey, Matt. Ever since Arthur Smith's introductory press conference, he really stressed that he's about bringing accountability to the Falcons, and he said he's going to make the best players accountable. I know you've only been on the field with him a little bit, but through the meetings, have you been able to get a sense that that's kind of the message he's going to bring throughout the building?
Oh yeah, for sure. You get on the meetings, on the Zoom calls, and he's asking everybody questions, firing off questions, making sure that guys are on top of what's being installed, and if they're not, making sure that they know that it's our job as professionals to find a way to learn this information and make sure we know it. And I think guys have responded well to that, but I certainly think he's made that felt from the beginning.
I know you talked about a little bit of the differences and challenges about learning a new scheme, but just how different is this scheme, and what are some of the biggest things that you're going to have to adjust to? I know you said it's the language, but I'm sure there's a lot more.
Yeah, I think, from a language standpoint, I think, I've played a number of different systems now. So it's like, a combination of a couple of them. And so I go back, the formations are really similar to West Coast formations, which I played in for a number of years. Protections, very similar. The concepts are similar as well. It's just different names. So it's just kind of making sure that you have the right word association and, you're speaking the right language. I think the biggest, difference comes from getting a flavor for, how the coaching staff is going to game plan. What the week is going to look like, how they're going to call plays, situationally, what we want to do. Trying to get on the same page as fast as you can there, I think is probably the most important part.
Zach Klein.
Matt, it seems like the other 65 offensive coordinators you've had with the Falcons always talk about balance. But last year you threw nearly 200 more times than you did your rookie year in your 13th year. Is that just an evolution of the game? Can there really be a balance between passing and running in 2021 NFL football?
I think there can. I think one of the organizations that was extremely balanced was Tennessee, and we've got a head coach that is coming in, from that system. And so obviously they've had a different, skill set of players there, different guys, but, I don't know what it'll look like. My job is to try and operate whatever play is called. If it's 200 more passes than it is runs, we got to find a way to make it work. But I think, most of the time teams are at the best when, they make defenses defend everything. Run, pass, play action pass, on the move, just a ton of different things to have to handle. But we'll see how we shake out. Every year is different. You don't know how injuries are going to go. You don't know how the season's going to go. And, you have to, try and find a way to get it done.
And what does a 36-year-old Matt Ryan in his 14th year appreciate more about the game than he did maybe as a rookie?
I think, you realize how hard it is, at this age. And so you appreciate the success probably more now. I've never really been motivated. You want to win, but I really hated losing more than I loved winning. It would eat at you more. And I think that only intensifies, the older you get, because you realize, your opportunities are limited. And I probably appreciate the opportunity more now, knowing that, I'm not in the first quarter or first half of my career. And, and so it makes every chance you get, all the more fun.
Steve Weish.
Hey, Matt. Hey, I just want to talk to you like on a bigger picture. You see a lot more of these, quarterbacks, the Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson of the world, kind of becoming more empowered. But you're not really out there, speaking about your contract situation or how much longer you want to be with your team. When you look around and see what's going on with some of those guys, how comfortable is it to kind of be in the situation that you're in? Like you said, having people in the building believe in you.
Yeah, I think everybody's situation is different. I think I think you're correct. I think there's been a shift for sure. During my time in the NFL, where guys have become more vocal about certain situations, and I think that's a good thing from a player standpoint. Is you want some of that. You want your voice to be heard. I feel like, within our organization, within the building that I've been in a really fortunate spot where my voice has been heard, and I've always felt that way and always felt appreciated. But so I can't speak for other people's situations. I just feel fortunate that mine has been, as solid as it has been for the better part of 14 years.
And Matt, you just talked about also because, you say there are limited opportunities because of your age coming up. How do you think this organization, again, with this new leadership change, has positioned you or the rest of your team to get you, or is positioning the team to kind of get you to the promised land, so to speak, on that limited window that you just mentioned?
Well, it's not that limited. I know I feel pretty good. I got a guy in division who he's a little longer in the tooth than I am. So, I still feel pretty good. I just understand it's not the first half. We're probably into the second half a little bit more. But to answer your question, I feel like we're in a good place, and we've got to improve. We've got to get better. There's no question about that. But I feel like we've got really good people in leadership positions with a mindset and a clear vision for what they want to do. And it's our responsibility as players to find a way to be a part of that. And that's what I'm going to try and continue to do as I move forward. But I feel like I'm in a good place.
Mark Bradley.
Matt, if Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith had come to you back in the early part of spring and said, we really have a rare opportunity to take a quarterback at number 4. This isn't a reflection on you, but we think that planning our future, the franchise future, this would be the way to go. What would have been your reaction to that?
I don't know. It didn't happen. So I can't really answer it, honestly, but, I understand that, that's part of this business. It's not easy. It gets magnified at the quarterback position because everything does. But, this happens to guys every year, every week in our league. People are brought in to try and replace you that are cheaper, that are younger, and it's your, responsibility as a player to try and not make that happen. And so I don't know what I would have done. But, maybe that'll happen at some point in the future, but it hasn't happened yet.
I know that obviously you've enjoyed the total backing of this organization since the moment you were drafted. Did you have a little talk with yourself with the new coach and the new GM and say, maybe they won't like me as much as the other guys did? Did you prepare yourself for that in any way?
Yeah, I think you always do. I think you never know when there's transition, what's going to happen. You have to go prove it with the way you work, prove it on the field, earn their respect. And I'm still, for sure in the process of doing that. I'm in a fortunate position where they've got a body of work to be able to look at, but I still have to do that every day. And so you're constantly having that talk with yourself about, whether it's year 1, year 14, whatever year it is, you're constantly trying to prove that you're the right person for this spot. I was told at a young age from some veteran players that in that locker room, you don't own the locker, you rent it. And so, I try and pay my rent on time all the time and do the best I can do to stay in that spot.
Alex Glaze.
Hey, Matt. So obviously, just kind of in a way to piggyback off what Steve was asking earlier about other quarterbacks around the league, a lot of quarterbacks have issues with their front office not bringing in enough weapons for them to have at their disposal. Just when the Falcons are picking at 4, was there ever a question in your mind whether they were going to go quarterback or provide you with another weapon? And when you saw the direction that they went, just what does that tell you about kind of how they view you and your future with the organization?
Well, first, you never know how it's going to go. The longer you play in this league, there are no givens, there are no certainties, and so I didn't know which direction it was going to go at that point. But obviously, I'm excited when you see a guy like Kyle get drafted and the potential that he has and the production that he had in college. Those are the things you look at as a quarterback and you're like, man, I'd love to play with a guy like that. And I've been fortunate, throughout my career to play with a bunch of guys like that. And they're fun, they're great to play with. The thing I've been impressed with from him is just, his humility and his ability to want to work in the first couple of weeks. I think that's, genuine, and I would encourage him to continue to stay that way, because to me, when you're constantly trying to get better and improve, that's the way you get to where you want to go. And he's certainly off to a good start.
And, obviously Julio is a big part of what you guys do as an offense. Just what does a Falcons offense without Julio Jones look like?
I don't know. He's